Social emotional learning is the big umbrella, and underneath that are many interventions. And one of the interventions that the district has taken on, and that began 5 years ago, is the ruler approach.
We identified one of the challenges here in Bridgeport is that we are in a very highly mobile district. We have students that could be in 1, 2, or 3 different schools in 1 year. And so it was the implementation of the ruler approach was actually very intentional, very thoughtful, and very well planned so that we could implement it across the entire district.
Ruler is an acronym, and ruler stands for R, to recognize the emotions, yours and others. U is understanding the causes of those emotions. The L is to label it. You've got to name it to tame it. E is expressing. And the fifth, and probably the most important, is regulating.
If they can't regulate their emotions, they're not ready to learn academically. So if they come in and they're upset about something that happened at home, they're not ready to sit down and do their work. They need to take a moment and talk about it, or take a little break, or whatever they need, but they're not going to come in angry or sad and get right to work.
We know enough about the importance of SEL for students' academic performance and their well-being in general. We know enough about that to invest in it.
The district developed a social and emotional learning task force, and the task force is really comprised of social workers, teachers, administrators, school resource officers, as well as community agencies that do work in the school and are part of this partnership. In addition to that, each school developed their own social and emotional learning team within the school. What we found was that it was very important to include parents.
We focused on coaching and leadership development through the frame of ruler.
If you're able to recognize your feelings and regulate your feelings, more importantly, and you're feeling better about what you're doing, that should definitely have an impact on what you're doing.
So think about how you're feeling today and why. Then when we're done, we take time in the beginning of the year to really build those relationships with each other, learn how to express themselves with each other, so that, you know, once they've gotten that piece out of the way, then we kind of focus on the academic piece. And we try and, like, at this point in the year, we're trying to blend the two. So a lesson might include reading a story and then looking at that character and mapping that character on the mood meter. So they're getting the educational, the academic side of reading comprehension, but we're also tying it into their emotions.
It's all about building relationships and connecting with your students. And if you can do that, then they'll succeed.
We've seen teachers implementing the core aspects of ruler and seeing improvement on those implementation indicators over time.
We've started to see even more reductions in school and out of school suspensions. Just by walking into some of the schools that have truly embraced this, you can see a very different culture.
You see less frustration, less outbursts. You see less disruption because they're fixing a problem, and it's not, you know, I'm upset and I'm going to explode. It's, you know, I'm upset and I have the tools to deal with this.
Oops, not yet. Not getting as easily upset. It's empowering for them. You know, they feel like, okay, I can stand up for myself in a way where I'm not hitting them back or making the wrong choice, but it gets their feelings out and it solves the problem.
The biggest impact that I see is when I see an 8th grader come down to the office to take a meta moment and by sitting in the rocking chair that we have in the office. And so that's an impact in and of itself. The younger kids will do it, but when you see an 8th grade male come into the office saying, I need to take a moment, and he goes and he sits in a rocking chair and he starts rocking, that is impact.
My assessment thus far is that it's, well, first of all, it's grown well beyond what my expectations were.
Children that were able to self-report about being able to regulate themselves had 1 grade point higher on their report cards. And students that also self-reported that they were able to regulate had better attendance.
These young people coming from K-8 are going to filter into our high schools, reshape the climate and environment that currently resides in our high schools. And when people come to our schools and they feel good about themselves and they're honored and validated and supported, then they can do well academically.